There are times I've questioned if I'm the right person for you. Why? Because there are seasons that we've had that are really, really tough. And I really sometimes I felt inadequate.
Do you feel like it's your responsibility to make me happy?
And as a wife,
anything that does not grow is dead.
True.
So if your marriage is alive, there will definitely be growth.
The only thing that will make a car not move is the engine not working. Then what is the engine of a marriage?
Fantastic. Because you are going to tell us. There are universities, when you go do your masters or your PhDs, they'll tell you what level of education has your wife or your husband reached.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll warn you. They'll say by the time you're done with this program, be very careful with the relationship with your spouse.
Okay.
Because you can easily get to a place where you guys are not connecting intellectually. Because you know intimacy is also intellectual. That's one of the biggest issues that some marriages have today. Because I've had some of my female friends talk to me and they're like, I want to leave this guy.
Why?
And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, the guy is not ambitious.
Yes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Engaging the Culture.
ETC
by Soila and Curtis. ETC is a podcast where we discuss matters concerning society and the culture, and it's also an event that we do every couple of months. So yeah, Soila.
I can just listen to you the entire episode.
I know. I mean,
please go on.
Why did you marry me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, guys, for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Why or what makes marriage work?
What makes marriage work?
Mm-hmm.
Before you jump on what makes marriage work, what are they supposed to do?
To like, to share, subscribe. Lakini unaweza kula tu ukae. Ni sawa, sio lazima. Sio lazima.
That food is bought.
It's okay.
The people who make that food need to be paid. The restaurant.
The Lord is our pay, ma.
Okay, so please subscribe. That's how you pay for us to be here. But if you want to pay in other ways, you want to donate and support us in other bigger ways, feel free. DM us. We have a conversation about how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
So that we can continue, producing these wonderful meals for you guys.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been married, sir?
How long have I been married? I thought you'd never ask. So I've been married for 8 years. And guess what? 8 is the number of new beginnings.
So, have you survived the 8 years? Or have you thrived the 8 years?
To be honest, there are times I felt like I was surviving. There are times I was like, I've had to go survival mode. But majority of the time, by God's grace, we were thriving, we were enjoying.
Yeah, so I've also survived and thrived in different situations. But majorly, for sure, I have enjoyed marriage and what it has to bring. I can say that there are times I've questioned if I'm the right person for you. Why? Because there are seasons that we've had that are really, really tough. And we were trying to understand each other and how to supply to each other's needs at that specific season. And I really sometimes I felt inadequate. And I was wondering, I'm not so sure I make Curtis so happy, And so I keep questioning and calling myself out to the area of, serving you despite the feeling, So, we become better with each and every year, with each and every month, with each and every season, because you experience different seasons in marriages. So, for me, is to adapt to the season, to adapt to the changes that is happening in you and happening in me, to ensure that we are both thriving and both enjoying being in that marriage. I remember this in 2024, when again, another 9 left, and we're like, we're not going to take. We've been left a number of times, but you have been my constant, bro, man. You have been my constant. So I know you're not leaving me either way. So that time that she left, and then we had a carol, but she left and then we went back to work. I had Imora in the house myself, so I was doing everything for I think most of that term until we got somebody, like 4 weeks until we said, you know what, let's start the bureau line and see if we can get somebody. And then we got somebody and they just ended up disappointing us. But way before getting that someone from the bureau, I remember taking up the charge and just saying, let's see how far we can go without having an extra hand. And then God was able to unpack for me what it means to actually be a wife, especially in the area of submission. So in that season, I learned that I don't submit to you because you're showing me love. It's so easy. You go to Ephesians.
Convenient.
It's very convenient. Ephesians and say submit to your husband, and then husband love your wife. And for the longest time we thought loving or submission is a consequence of, or is as a result of being loved. But God told me that you don't just submit because the guy is showing you love. You submit because you love me. You submit because I, as God, has given you that order and has given you that command so I obey God above, if I love God, I will obey his commandment. He says that. So for me in submission, whether you love me in a particular way that makes me feel hard and sin in that season, I submit. Or if you still don't have the capacity to love me in that specific season, that in a way that fulfills my heart, I will still submit. Why? Because I love God, and this is a command that came to God. But
from God.
From God, yes, came from God. But we've weaponized that word to mean that if he does not love you, you don't submit. And I think for me that season, it's not like you are really perfectly loving me, because it was a tough season for both of us. But I still found it quite easy. It's actually it was settling in my heart. And I'll still submit, I'll still respect, and I'll still obey you, no matter the outcome of it. Why? Okay, it might be easier for me because I know you as a person. You never have malice. You are not a violent husband. You're not an abusive husband. You've constantly been a good person. It's just probably an expression of love was not matching my needs at that specific time. So I think for me, marriage works because I hear God, I love God, I purpose to follow his commands and his words instead of depending on you to make the marriage work.
That's actually, you've just preached Ephesians 5 and Peter in a nutshell. Because marriage is, first of all, not for us, it's for God. Because that's what you are told, women are told. Submit and honor your husband as unto the Lord. All right? So the reference is God, not me. Honor. And then the Bible also tells us, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So I'm not loving you because of you. I'm loving you because of what Christ has demonstrated.
Yes.
So the basis of marriage is not the spouses.
Yes.
It is God. He's the foundation. He's the target. He's the everything.
Yeah. Because the church was misbehaving. And Christ was still loving the church. Yes.
But there's something you said that I want to take you back. You say that sometimes you struggle with whether
I'm enough,
whether you are making me happy. Do you feel like it's your responsibility to make me happy?
And as a wife,
define
make you happy. Okay, make you
surely.
Just again.
Natalia, this is not your conversation. You don't even have an ID. You cannot.
You want to be. She starts talking. She's the one answering.
Natalia, can we have this conversation with you later? Okay.
She thinks I'm speaking to her. So, Mommy, I'm not talking to you, okay? Okay? So, I want to know that you're happy with me in that house. You see, to respect a man, to honor him, to obey him, they make you happy, don't they? Do they make you happy?
They do.
They do. Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. So I know people can I can still do that, but it doesn't make you happy. Because let's say there are certain things that within the lines are not working. So even the obedience and the submission and the it's not really a full package. So to make you happy is just creating an environment that makes you thrive.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So what makes marriage work? So allow me to give an analogy.
Okay.
So of course marriage can be likened to many things as an allegory. But of late I'm seeing marriage a lot as a vehicle. Now here's the thing. The person who invented the car, the person who invented the vehicle, had one purpose in mind. And the purpose of that vehicle is to transport from point A to point B. That is the sole purpose of the car. The car has no other purpose. But as you're driving this car, as you're using this car to transport you from point A to point B, there are other functions that the car can perform. You can turn on the radio, you can hoot, you can warm your seats. Some cars can do that. You can turn on the AC, you can clean your windows. There are other functions that the car can perform. But the main purpose of the car is to transport you.
But wait. The functions the car is performing is to make the transportation efficient.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
But thank you for going ahead. All right? So the functions of the car are designed to make the transport more enjoyable.
Yes.
But without the functions, the car can still perform its purpose.
Not those really.
So
not specific season. If it's raining, you don't have the wipers, you're not going anywhere.
The car can still go. It's just that you will not see well. But it can still go because the wipers don't hinder the car from moving.
Yes.
They just make your vision clear.
Exactly.
But the car can still go.
Okay. Which hinders the functionality.
Yeah, that's the functionality.
It hinders it.
It hinders its functionality.
Listen.
No, it still works. I get you.
It still works.
It's like it's like the functionality. If it was at 100%,
it will make the journey enjoyable. Yeah. But even without the functionality, the purpose can still be fulfilled. It will be harder.
Yeah.
But the purpose can
still be fulfilled.
Move. It can still
having
move.
a wiper or not having a wiper does not make the car stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Stop moving.
But you'd rather have it because it makes the journey smoother.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Now, if you have all the functions functioning at 100%,
yes,
but the car cannot move,
yeah,
you have a useless car.
Yeah, true.
You can have the best stereo, the best wipers, you can even have a car that can cook you coffee.
Yeah.
But if it cannot move you from point A to point B, you have a useless car.
Yeah, you have a...
All right?
Shell, yeah.
Now, this is exactly what marriage is. The purpose of marriage is one. But there are functions that marriage can fulfill. Now, those functions make the purpose of the marriage easier.
Okay.
But without the functions, the purpose can still be fulfilled.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Now, the car, just the way the owners of the car are supposed to service the car so that the car does not keep breaking down. It is the same thing the spouses of the marriage are supposed to service the marriage. So there are two people here. There's the manufacturer of the car.
Okay.
And there's the people using the car.
Okay.
All right? The manufacturer of marriage is God. But the people using the marriage are the spouses. Now, the responsibility to take care of the car is the owner's car, not the manufacturer. The manufacturer created the car and gave you.
Okay.
It is you as the owner to service it and make sure you maintain it for it to continue.
With the manual of the manufacturer.
With the manual of the manufacturer. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
So even marriage, God created the institution of marriage and gave you.
Yeah.
But it is not God who does the maintaining.
Yeah.
It is you using the manual, as you said, of the manufacturer. It is up to you to maintain the marriage.
It's not God maintaining the marriage?
No, God gave you the knowledge that you need.
Yeah.
He gave you the wisdom that you need.
The mandate.
To maintain the marriage.
Okay.
But God is not coming into your marriage to do things for you. You have a responsibility.
To work, yes.
You understand? Yeah. In the same way, when your car, you've utilized certain parts of the car, they've worn out and you need to replace it with new parts. It's the same thing in marriage.
Yeah.
You need to replace certain things in marriage as time goes. These things could be a mindset. You understand?
Yeah.
There's a mindset that was perfect for us at the first year of marriage. But in the 5th year, it is no longer working for us.
Yeah.
So we need to drop that mindset and gain a new mindset that will be more efficient for the level of the season that we are in.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
The other mistake that people do is that cars are different. All cars were built to transport.
But they're different.
But the way a Ferrari was built to transport is not the way a construction lorry was built to transport. Ferrari was built to be small and fast.
Yeah.
Construction lorries are a bit heavier, so they are slow,
Yes.
but they carry more load.
True.
So the moment a Ferrari decides to say, I don't like the way I'm so small, I want to do what the lorry is doing.
Yeah.
So the Ferrari goes to the construction site and says, put all the load that you put on the lorry for me as well. See, it breaks down.
It does.
Exactly. So the problem is that we have people in marriage and they don't understand the build of their marriage. They don't understand what their marriage was built for. They don't understand what their marriage was supposed to fulfill. It's supposed to have the same purpose, but purpose is expressed differently as we discussed in the previous video.
True.
So you have people who God designed them to be in the media,
Yeah.
but then they want to go to politics.
Yeah.
But they are not built for politics.
Okay.
So they go and get shipwrecked.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because they are taking a vehicle to the place that the vehicle was not built for.
Yes.
You understand? So that's exactly, I like that analogy because I find it to be so practical.
Yeah.
So what is it that makes a marriage work? We've said that for you to maintain a car, there are certain maintenance things you need to do, services you need to do to make the car have better functionality and proper purpose.
Yes.
So in marriage, same thing. There's the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
But what are the functionalities that we as spouses were supposed to do to take care of the car, to maintain it, so that the purpose of the car so that the purpose of the marriage and the functions that the marriage is supposed to do can work. So we have two functions here. There are the functions that you and me are supposed to do for the marriage.
Yeah.
And then there's the function that the marriage also does for the two of you. You understand? And I like what you mentioned there, because the discussion here is what makes marriage work.
So there's love.
So you mentioned functionalities that a wife is supposed to do, which is to submit and honor.
Yeah.
And there are also functionalities that a husband is
supposed to
do, which is to love and cherish.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
So these are the things we are talking about.
Yeah. That make a marriage work.
Yeah. Now the problem is that sometimes we focus so much on the functionalities that we forget about the purpose. And remember what we said. You can have the best functions of a car, but if the car is not moving, the purpose has failed.
Okay.
So sometimes as the spouses, we can focus so much on the functions that we're supposed to do. Who cooks? Who cleans? Who pays the bills? And those are important things because they make the marriage good. But we forget that what we're really supposed to be paying attention to is this marriage moving?
Yeah. Is it growing?
Is it growing? Or is it that like that car that is stagnated?
We're on a cycle.
It's grounded.
Yeah.
But it has the best music. It has the best AC. It warms everything. But it is not moving.
So for you to say that a marriage is working is if it's growing.
Yes. So you can have a marriage where the functions are really well. We're doing all these things.
You're paying the bills?
Yes, you are paying the bills. We are cooking for each other. Whoever is cooking is supposed to be cooking. Whoever is paying the bills is supposed to be paying bills. Whoever is doing the roles, as we call them, which are not really roles. Roles on shelves are two different things, but for the sake of this conversation, everyone is doing their chores or their roles as it's supposed to be. But they are not paying attention to the purpose.
So question,
the purpose, before you ask your question, the purpose of marriage, as we discussed in ETC chapter 1, is to exercise dominion across time and space.
Yes.
Across generations and society.
Yeah.
Is to be fruitful and exercise dominion. That is the purpose of marriage.
Yeah.
Now, it will look different for different couples.
True.
Because we've all been called in different areas to exercise that dominion.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
It will look different. So if we are ending up doing all these things, but this purpose is not being fulfilled, then we have a useless marriage, if I may be extreme.
Yeah. No, we are not. We don't have a goal.
There's no
as a marriage.
Yes.
It's to make ourselves happy.
Yes.
And I think that's why sometimes if those functions, so it's true. So because I was going to challenge that narrative of the functions are working, but the car is not moving. And I'm like, if all the functions are properly working, then that means the car should be able to move. So if the car's dependence on it moving is this other function, the way the engine is serviced, the way the windscreen, the steering wheel and everything has been taken care of course the car is going to move. It's just you to ignite it and take it home. But the only thing that will make a car not move is the engine not working.
Yes.
So then what is the engine of a marriage?
Good. Fantastic. Because you are going to tell us.
You give an analogy, finish it.
Yeah, so that's actually very interesting. I had not thought of it that far.
Yeah.
But if the engine is the heart of the car, okay, then what is the engine of marriage? What is that thing that gets everything going?
Yeah.
Tell us.
No, I'm asking you because you gave the analogy of the car here, and I'm saying that because if every other function is working and the car is not moving, that's because the engine is not working. But if the engine is working and every other function is working, the marriage is not moving because you've not ignited it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So what is this ignition?
What is the
ignition that starts the engine, that warms up the car and the car starts to move?
I know what the engine is.
Tell us.
My people perish.
Don't tell me it's knowledge.
Why not?
I think it's God.
The knowledge of God. Because you see, what I'm trying to avoid is us having a mentality that God comes. Of course, as believers, we invite God into our marriage. In fact, we dedicate. It's not even an invitation. We dedicate our marriages to God. So our marriages belong to God. But what I'm trying to avoid is a scenario where we sit back because God will make things work.
Okay. No.
You understand?
God. So this is it. God is the engine. Let's say God is the engine, right? We are supposed to invite God through interaction, through the ignition of wanting to know.
Let me ask you, what is it that will work in your marriage by God? What is it that God will do in your marriage to make it work without your participation?
Nothing.
So you have to participate.
That's what I'm saying. You are the one who kickstart it.
And then
it moves. See, God is part of that, making the thing move. Otherwise, but now begs the question for somebody who does not involve God. But again, no, we say marriage is an institution by God. Like it or not. You may use marriage to do your evil deeds, but it's an institution that was meant, created by God. So I honestly see what makes. Let's define work here. Why would you say this marriage is working and this marriage is not working?
Good question.
So that we can trace it back.
What makes something work is fruitfulness. Fruitfulness and growth.
Okay.
If something is not growing, and we've had this conversation with you whenever we go for these engagements, anything that does not grow is dead.
True. Yeah.
Because anything that is alive must grow. Yeah. This microphone, I'll not come here next week and find it has become longer. Because it's not organic, it can't grow. But if we put a plant here on some soil and we come 1 week later, it will have grown because anything that is alive grows. So if your marriage is alive, there will definitely be growth. And that growth, number one, first of all, must be seen in the two of you as spouses. Are you growing as individuals? No, it's a point in Veshika. So are you growing as individuals, number one? Is the community around you positively impacted by your marriage?
Okay.
All right? And the other factor of marriage growing is, has God blessed you with children? Okay. Now, a marriage does not necessarily need children to prove it's growing, but that's one of the ways that you can show there's growth. You understand? Yeah.
That's expansion, not really growth.
It's growth.
Okay.
You've grown in numbers.
Okay, you've grown in numbers. So then if marriage working is the growth, is growing, then how can somebody, growth. So to help a person figure out, go back to that idea of checklist, to check against what are the growth parameters that people can check and say, I'm doing good in my marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, number one, you become a better person. Okay? First of all, marriage is very interesting. Marriage is, have you ever been sick? And then you take medicine. And then before you heal, you become worse.
Okay.
You become worse. But it doesn't mean the medicine is not working. It actually means it's working. So the symptoms, because you're fighting, you become sicker before you get better.
Yeah.
So, what are the checklists that you check to tell whether you're growing? Number one, marriage is a realm of manifestation. Okay? Marriage, and we've talked about this as well, marriage reveals the state of your heart.
Okay.
If you're a selfish person, as a single person, you'll be selfish. You'll be twice as selfish in marriage, because marriage magnifies. It exposes and magnifies. If you're lustful as a single person, you'll be twice as lustful. If you're controlling, you'll be twice as controlling. So one of the ways in which marriage, you can tell that you are growing in marriage is, number one, it will expose the things about you that are not okay. But if you handle that well, the marriage will help you grow and become better.
True.
You understand? Yeah. Because the aim of marriage is to, we talk about living and cleaving. It's not just living and cleaving from your relatives, from your past life. You're also living and cleaving from your old habits, old things, and cleaving to the standards that God has set out for you.
For you as a person.
Yeah. So one of the indicators that your marriage is actually working for you is growth in character, growth in mindset, and growth in responsibility.
Yeah. And if you grow in character,
growth in size.
Yes. So if you grow in character, you grow in mindset, you grow in responsibilities. That in itself, yes. If you grow as an individual and the other individual in the marriage grows, then generally the marriage thrives.
Yes.
When the marriage thrives, people in the community can see.
Yes.
Because you become even better people for the places that you work in.
Yes.
So you are a better person in your workplace, you're a better neighbor, you're a better congregant even in the church, because you're giving of the best that you have become.
Yes.
Now, a challenge comes when one of you, is it possible for one person to grow in a marriage and the other is not growing, yet we are called to be a unit?
I would say it's possible, but it's not a perfect growth. This is what I mean. Let's say we are both married, all right? And me, I'm taking my relationship with God very seriously.
Okay, true.
So because of the factor of my relationship with growth, there's a level of growth that I'll be growing as an individual.
Okay.
But as a unit, we are not growing as a unit.
Yeah.
You understand? As a person, I can be growing, but my growth is still hampered, because at the end of the day, even if my relationship with God is serious, at the end of the day, we are one together.
Yeah.
So there's a hindrance in my growth because of you.
Yes. So it takes two to make a marriage work.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So you cannot say, I'm purposed to make my marriage work.
It is very,
the other person is out and not really.
It's very difficult.
And I think that's the structure that God put in place, whereby you cannot move unless you hold the other person's hand to move together, to willingly grow together. If you're a selfish person, you'd want to grow by yourself and not call the other person up. Can we grow together so that the marriage in itself can thrive? Which is true. We've seen people who are better. The husband has become better. He's sharpened. He's all that. The woman has been left behind.
That's
why women feel some type of way. Let's say when it comes to having children, and then you are left at home to care for the children. But the man is advancing. Career-wise, he's advancing. Education-wise, because he's gone back to school, him is advancing. Like, he's become an intellectual. He's gotten. We are breaking the glass ceiling. There's no ceiling for him. He's gone. But you've just been left to be.
Do you know there are universities, when you go do your masters or your PhDs, they have a talk with you, a personal candid talk about your home front.
Okay. They'll
tell you what level of education or academia has your wife or your husband reached. And they'll warn you. They'll say, by the time you're done with this program, be very careful with the relationship with your spouse.
Okay.
Because you can easily get to a place where you guys are not connecting. intellectually, because intimacy is also intellectual.
Intellectual intimacy,
Yes.
for sure.
Intimacy encompasses everything. There's intellectual intimacy, emotional intimacy, spiritual intimacy, and physical intimacy. So you'll be able, if you're growing because you've dedicated to learning and all that, and your spouse is, they are not doing anything.
They're left behind.
You'll be warned, you'll be told, be very careful, because you might realize you guys are not connecting as much as you used to connect.
Okay.
Because one of you is growing at a faster rate than the other.
Oh, then you can easily become intellectually unfaithful.
And they'll bust.
Because now you connect with people who are now on the level, let's say, the university.
Yes.
Because my wife or my husband cannot challenge some of my intellectual thoughts because she is behind.
Yes.
Then where is the balance when the husband is advancing and mama is at home taking care of the children?
No, that's the thing.
Even bigger question is, what do you do in a case where someone is not even trying to be lazy about it? It's not trying to be, I don't want to grow, but they're not really putting in effort.
They are not ambitious, they are not proactive.
So even when you try to get them to be proactive and to join you in this growth, whether it's spiritually, they're like, it's a good idea, but literally no effort.
Actually, you'll be surprised, Ethan. That's one of the biggest issues that some marriages have today. Because I've had some of my female friends talk to me and they're like, I want to leave this guy.
Why?
And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, the guy is not ambitious.
Yes, ambition.
And you know where the world is going because of gender equality and all these things. Women nowadays are rising really quickly.
Yeah.
So if you find a woman who has a man who doesn't want to rise just as fast, it's not that they married the wrong person, but that feeling of this person is not supporting
lagging
in my growth and my ambition. It's actually an issue.
Then let's say this. Then there needs to be conversation. If that happens, the same way we say vulnerability in communications in marriage needs to be had. Is it okay for me to come and tell you, honestly, I feel like this area of my life, I am not doing so well because of how you are. One, I'm very ambitious. I'm pursuing this and this and this. And I am frustrated every time to try to pull you out and tell you to also pursue 1, 2, 3. Yet you're not. So I feel some type of way. How can I support you? Because I don't think it's okay to completely say the person has refused to follow with your instructions or your prompts. What if we ask the question, what is your challenge and how can I support you?
That's it.
Yeah. I feel like that's a therapy question. Both of you need to be seated down in front of a therapist.
No. I think before you go to a therapist, both of you be therapists to each other. So when it's not working between the two of you, like, no, let's go to Ethan. Ethan can help us understand probably my blind self and your blind self that you're not seeing. And one of us is just being selfish and pushing the other one to a level whereby they are not ready yet. She might be handling things. He might be handling other things. Like your aspect of he's not ambitious enough like the way I'm ambitious. What's holding him back? What's eating at him?
And there's need for grace.
There's need for grace. There's need for vulnerability and acceptance. Because somebody can still be vulnerable and tell you, but you don't take it. You say, that's just a flimsy reason. I don't agree to it. They're probably third party. And going before God clearly and say, give me grace for this season, for my man or for my woman. It will be wonderful for both of us to grow.
And also I think there's a lot of, and this is where love comes in, because love is patient.
Love is kind, covers a multitude.
So you have a scenario, for example, in our case. Let's even use our case because it's practical. It's at home. I've been in school for the past 2 years, all right? For you, that has not been so because of parenting, taking care of kids and all that. It will be very unreasonable for me to say, now me I've grown intellectually and you are not. So I can't be with you because we are not on the same level. Because it's not like you've been lazing around.
Exactly.
Life, there are things you've been handling. And you see, that's the importance of growing and being patient with someone as they grow. Because when I was growing academically, you're also growing in being a mom. Being a mom is not, it's work. You're learning things about parenting that me, I can't.
That's true.
And the best thing to do is for me to, like for us, what we do is that whatever I learn, because for mine was a master's, whatever. So I would come and share with you the things I'm learning.
That's what I wanted to tell you. That's what, like, invite your spouse or your partner. In your intellectual debates. let them know what you're learning
Yeah.
and how interesting or how applicable it is
Yeah.
in your current,
Yes.
so that they don't feel left out. Like
Yeah.
you're advancing and having this conversation with other people outside the marriage,
Yeah.
yet she or he has no
idea the things you're
so
learning.
yes, so invite them into that conversation,
Yeah.
so they can also get interest in what you're learning and seeing how you're becoming a better person. I think it also encourages the other person to grow, because unless now you're in a space whereby you literally love growth. If you see your spouse growing and you like them, it makes you also like, you know what?
You feel motivated.
Yes. You motivate me to go back to school. You motivate me, to take a different course. You motivate me to be a better, let's say, employee or an employer. So we should motivate one another, and that's a sign of growth, literally.
And I think one thing that people can do is find a common interest. I think for us, what has made it easier is because, yes, I have my job, I have the things that I do. You have the things that you do, but there's this one thing that we do together which is being educators and speakers. So there's always that common ground where we get to share the different things that we are learning, and it finds expression in whatever we do together.
That's true.
So I would say that's the growth factor. Now there's a lot of different growths. We may not be able to discuss all of them in one video, but I think growing is one of the signs
that you're growing,
that your marriage is heading somewhere,
and
you are heading somewhere. You're thriving, you're heading somewhere. Intellectually you can say you are both improving. How you used to deal with issues before, have you improved, or you're still dealing with issues the same way you used to deal with issues before? So I think it's things like that.
So if somebody is not motivated by their partner's growth, and they're, let's say, intimidated instead, is that a personal problem?
That's a personal problem.
So you're projecting.
That's a personal problem. You've heard of men who are told, like me, there's someone who has told me, they heard that I was getting married to you. Now, this is someone who is, in the rural areas. They heard I was getting married to you, and they were so bothered. They were asking why I am marrying a university graduate. Because according to him, I'm supposed to marry someone below my level, so that I can control you. Because that's the mindset, with a lot of upcountry people. You don't marry a woman who is above you in education or at your level. Atakuletea kichwa ngumu, atakusumbua. But for me, I find that to be very silly, because I want to know I have someone intelligent in my house. I want to know that if I want to build a business or I want to do something significant, I have someone who has brains. Now, I know there are marriages where that works. The woman or the man is on a lower educational level than the other. And if that works for them, well and good. But me, I'd rather have someone who is either more intelligent than me, or we're at the same level.
Not feeling intimidated.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, that's good. Guys, are you growing in your marriages?
And tell me whether the car analogy makes sense for a marriage. Does it make sense? The owner of the car, the manufacturer of the car, the functionalities of the car, the manual. I really like that analogy, because every time I look at it and I look at how a car functions, I find a correction for it for the car. So let me know if you also, if it makes you, if you're interested, if it's interesting to.
And I mean,
think about.
Even as you're finishing, it's just a call for us to invest in our marriages. And investing in yourself, investing in your partner is, in a way, investing into the union. Of, I don't know why I'm using quotes, but air quotes, but it's investing in the union of the two of you. So I don't think you should feel bad when the other person is advancing.
I don't.
You should encourage
yourself for me,
to advance.
It's just a place of grace. Grace to the person who is advancing. Be graceful and patient to the one who is not advancing. And for you who is not advancing at that time, challenge yourself.
To come up.
My spouse is growing in this area. How can I also grow?
All right.
So
see you guys.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, because you've gone through.
Don't even go anywhere. We are literally continuing from this area, from this conversation. We are going deep into next into intimacy. So see you in a bit.
Next week. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
You
pow.
Pow.
Wanted to hit the camera, but it's so fun.
So fun.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.